forget retro gaming goodness.
No PC should be without it.
Undelete.
Welcome to DOS Days, a nostalgic look back at PC gaming from the mid-80s to mid-90s. This is a companion piece series to Player One Memories, which covers the arcade scene during this same period. For this series, I'll be jumping back and looking at all those great DOS era and early CD-ROM titles that I played and loved so much, as well as the times and places I experienced them. So let's jump on back to 1993 saw the release of the Pentium processor for home PCs, which contained two processors on a single chip and changed PC gaming forever. On the movie front, we got the Stallone action fest Cliffhanger, which gave us another dementedly good bad-guy performance from John Lithgow, who just chewed the scenery in the best possible way.
Do you know what real love is, Crystal?
No.
Sacrifice.
On the TV front was the debut of The X-Files, which ended up giving us 218 episodes of aliens, supernatural, and beastie goodness, and no doubt helped boost applications for the FBI's 1994 recruitment postings. And on the music front, it was all cheeseball dance music 24/7, with Hadaway's What Is Love leading the audio assault until you finally gave in and busted a groove to everybody else's embarrassment. My latest VHC home movie mutant was Mickey Play, a blatant ripoff of Child's Play, with Mickey being the demented possessed doll. Mickey? Another 90s video monstrosity. But let's jump on over to today's game, being MegaRace, released in 1993 and developed by Cryo Interactive. This was one of those early DOS CD-ROM titles that really took advantage of CD technology, tons of FMV video,
That slime ball is toasted pulp as we speak.
and these amazing for the time anyway, pre-rendered racetracks that looked insane in 1993. It was a racing destruction game that has you participating in a sort of virtual Death Race 2000 game show.
You don't want to get arrested for taking the law into your own hands. Not a problem. You know why? Because it ain't real. It's a whole lot better than real, baby. It's virtual television. Reality's white nightmare.
Where the goal was to wipe out all the competitors before taking out the boss and moving on to the next track. You could choose up to 8 different cars, and there were 5 massive tracks to play through. One of the highlights of the game though is the host, Lance Boyle, whose cheesy humor and 70s style game show host presentation.
All around us are armies of robots making armies of robots making armies. There's one over there. Hey, you! Get back to work or I'll take out my can opener!
Really adds a lot of fun and atmosphere. Weapons on your car involve machine guns and rockets, and plain old smashing the guy into the wall until he explodes.
You slam those punks into the sidewall every chance you get. High-speed explosions equals big boy.
Between levels you find out what prizes you won and makes it feel like you were just part of an episode of The Price is Right. Cryo Interactive, the makers of this, also made 2 other excellent games worth checking out in 1992, namely Dune and KGB, both adventure-style games that are quite excellent. So is this a good game? Well, it's decent I guess, but I have a lot of nostalgia for these early CD-ROM titles that just threw everything at it to make familiar games with a new lick of paint. The graphics are quite good overall, FMV is top notch, the pre-rendered stuff is obviously dated, and the tracks being pre-rendered themselves does limit gameplay. And speaking of gameplay, it's very simplistic, but I always found it to be extremely enjoyable. It's like playing an old early 80s arcade game.
The track features a terrifying selection of symbols which signify things like speeding up and slowing up and maybe even blowing up. Who knows? Who cares?
But I gotta give respect to Cryo for pushing the technology of the time and not simply making a regular DOS game and slapping on the obligatory voiceover and releasing it as a special CD-ROM game only. It was followed by 2 sequels, 1996's MegaRace 2 and 2001's MegaRace 3. And you can get the whole PC trilogy on GOG. good old games for really cheap, and is probably the easiest way to play these old races. There's also some pretty good ports to the Sega CD and 3DO if those are more systems that appeal to you. Overall, MegaRace is a simple game that's average at best, but the atmosphere, humor, and the use of technology for the time make it a fun curiosity to try out and revel in a bit of 90s nostalgia.
I hate it when they ruin the suspense.
Game over.
And thanks for joining me, Bastish B at 64K. If you can like and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.